Radiant, conscious, prosperous. These are the qualities of a luminous way of life, where thriving means syncing up with nature's wisdom and biorhythms. Your bioluminosity is a barometer for health, a gauge for true prosperity and balance, and luminous possibilities abound us. In this podcast, we offer empowering perspectives from many fields in medicine, esoteric and ancient wisdom, and subtle energy arts and sciences. Explore pathways for creating greater fulfillment within yourself and communities around you through our shared dialogues, methodologies, and experiences. Find inspiring attunements to your own optimal living roadmap with integrative health practitioners, artists, and conscious entrepreneurs. If you're looking for direct experience, visit our online directory and connect with a professional today to feel more on purpose, heart open, and prosperous. Today I've got a guest on today. His name is Jon Eidon. He's a prolific poet.
Okay. There it is.
With way too little likes on Instagram.
Way too little.
And he has a lot of beautiful things to say. I always enjoy his time together. Our time together. Hey Jon, how you doing today?
I'm wonderful, Keenan. Thank you for that lovely introduction. I have 70 followers on Instagram. It's a crying shame.
It should be like, yeah, at least 10,000 times that, but I'll give you that 70 followers. You know, it's kind of a lot. How long have you been on the thing for?
Well, I just went public with it, so I took it out of private for fun and cleaned it up a bit. I cleaned it up, and I have this curiosity about opening it up. I think I've only been on Instagram just over a year.
Yeah. It's a funny thing. I mean, because it's not really necessary in a lot of ways. I mean, you've got a thriving thing going on right now, and you have 70 followers, and it's just, you know, a little bit of a misnomer to think that we need to have everything going for us on social media as a coach.
Yeah, no, you don't. It really is my spot to amuse myself with poetry. I call it's more, for me, they're more like verses. Like I'm writing, I call it, my Bible is basic instructions before love enters fully into your life. So for me, these are the verses that I hear in myself of my own journey into the dance of experience and sharing like an experience with a context that for me I hope is seducing people a bit into getting curious about how are they creating their moment to moment experience. That's the biggest turn on for me when somebody goes like, I'm doing this to myself. Holy shit.
That's your turn on.
I'm like,
oh yeah.
my work here is done.
Yeah, that's the moment, isn't it? Where we have a pivot to 1/2 degree, 1 degree, and it changes our lives. And it's those insights. Yeah. Well, tell me about it. I mean, what's one of those insights you've been having lately, or what's something that has come through in your life? To start off this conversation, I just want to mention a little bit about what we're going to be talking about today.
Yes.
To the audience here, we've titled this episode "Completing the Game of Codependency and Self-Sabotage." And Jon's going to support us in receiving a transmission on cultivating greater self-sovereignty. And we're going to take a beautiful meandering through what it's like to crush this codependency game. And crush is not really the right word. I think that you know, it's probably not what you would use. You said completing the game of, and I think what it draws up in me is this kind of like, what I always enjoy about you and your conversations, Jon, is that you have a way of approaching a subject matter or an aspect of human experience that just brings a little more light and love into it, but you're not willing to go into the dark places. So yeah, I mean, again, this idea we were just talking about with words and how they do such a non-justice to explaining things sometimes. I hope the message was conveyed there. But yeah, tell me a little bit about, tell us a little bit about some insight maybe that you've been having lately, or it feels like you got something on your heart right now to share. So we could start with that.
Thank you, Kina. I do like the word crush when it comes to codependency, because at the heart of it for me is attachment. And I don't look at attachment as a bad thing. I look at attachment as a wonderful way for me to create a certain experience for myself. So my current partner, I have consciously attached to her and been open about that. Like, I'm going to attach to you and I'm going to suffer.
Yeah, I mean, and why aren't we just more open about all that with each other, I mean, instead we do a lot of hiding out and kind of playing like that's not happening. I mean, I have, and I know my partners have, and on some level, but isn't it nice to just be kind of blatantly playful and outwardly expressive about what's really going on? I mean,
Yes.
I've watched you and your partner, May, go about this dance a little bit, and it's been really beautiful to watch you two.
Thank you. It's been intense for me because it's I've realized I have developed a deep fear of endings.
Yeah, I feel that one too.
Which fundamentally is this concept of death or oblivion or annihilation. And I was presented as a young child those concepts as absolute truth. And I believed it.
Through the context and lens of Christian upbringing.
Yeah. Through
Yeah.
severe Christianity where everything was coming to an end. And so I attached, I really, it's a fascinating paradox because at the same time I attached to a very ethereal spirit. Other like the higher dimensions became my safe place. Angels, non-physical beings were my private world. And so I had conversations with what people would say was imagined friends, with the light would talk to me and beings would come in and introduce themselves to me. And I would have these out of body experiences. But being in my body, being around my parents and being in the church was pure hell for me. So I had these two worlds.
And it's
And
interesting how
hmm,
whatever life is presenting to us seems to necessitate the opposite. If we whatever
mm-hmm,
we're getting,
mm,
there needs to be a balance.
yes, it's so good. And I remember at 8 being told, hearing, you're going to forget for a while us.
Mm.
And
Interesting. And
this
then you
is
did.
and this is going to be rough. And your father's going to initiate you into the matrix of separation. Your father's going to introduce you to the dark side. And he did. And I remember the day. I remember the feeling of the totality of a sense of separation from love.
Mm.
Like right here in my solar plexus, like an arrow or a sword put right through my solar plexus, severing my spine and not being able to breathe anymore. And every night fearing death, fearing falling asleep, I would like try to catch that moment. It's such an interesting thing when you give it consciousness. Like the moment you fall asleep, it's such a strange thing because it kind of just happens and you're out. And I was concerned that if I fell asleep, I would either not ever wake up and go into oblivion, or I would wake up in hell, in a hellish existence. But I already was. This is the thing. I was already in hell. Well, I was really in a purgatorial state of mind, because I'm sort of in between. I know that there's a heaven. I know that there's angels. I know all that's true. I feel the hell around me of what I've been told is true, and I also believe that. And then I feel in between. I feel caught in between. Does this make sense? I don't know if it's still recording. I'm like, Keenan, everybody's just me now. That's my podcast now. Keenan's gone. Got a lot of sun today. Hope you guys like the hair. Hopefully Keenan will be back. But I lost him. Keenan, come back. We back?
We're back. So I believe the last thing we were talking about was you were describing falling asleep.
Sleep was I feared when I was a child up until now. I could say it. I'm going to make sure I use my words appropriately here and be conscious of them. When, as a kid, I believed that falling asleep was an act of vulnerably opening yourself up to damnation. At least when I was awake, I had a choice, is what I believed. Falling asleep meant I had no choice.
So when you lose unconscious, then you have no choice.
No choice.
Which is kind of points to a truth, right? I mean, we have choice and then we don't. I mean, there's a fear there. So I'm curious how you're tying this into codependency and self-sabotage. How do you, if we were to tie it back to that, what made you feel into this topic about the fear of elimination?
Yeah, so I'm getting to attachment. So the attachment is the root to me of codependency and self-sabotage, and it's what I attach to be dependent on conscious, to recognize I am the fact, the one fact I am, and my I amness is the conductor of my consciousness. That's a fact. When I recognize that, there's my attachment, there's my fact, my truth. To me, what attachment leads me to is truth. The truth is I am completely dependent upon the fact that I am aware. Now I can relax. And I can choose my attachments to form, to things, to ideas and concepts consciously. When I'm running fear, when I'm denying that I am, and that I am conscious, and that I create my moment-to-moment experience, I am automatically attaching to outcomes, to people, to circumstances, and therefore suffering and playing in codependency and self-sabotage with them. For me, it's really simple. And there's nothing wrong with codependency and self-sabotage. Like, who do you know that hasn't played that well? Like, it's shameful to be codependent.
And so why do we bring that shame to it? Why do so many of us feel guilty or shameful or have such a fear, I think, around that? Like, I just don't want to be codependent. I even know in my own system, it's if there's a sense of me being codependent, or I've got some friends around it, and there's a moment we share, and that's, it's like, oh yeah, the codependent patterns, and there's that kind of tinge, in the inflection of that person's voice of how that's wrong, and how that, no one, you wouldn't want to have that. And I just love how you started things off with such an embrace of that, just, all right, I'm going to become attached to you and play codependent games, and that's going to cause me great suffering. And
And I'm going
I
to do it
wonder,
consciously. Yeah.
and I'm going to do it consciously, right? Yeah, which is really the big difference. And it seems like that's also what you're highlighting here is like whatever it is happening in our life, whether we fall asleep or we don't, and we're awake, it's still happening. So as much consciousness and awareness we can bring to that, I mean, that to me feels like where we have our power. It seems like that's kind of what you're touching on too, is I might as well just be real with it, or realize that my awareness is allowing me to have this governance, self-governance.
Yes.
And what more is it than that? I mean, I'm not sure how much other choice that we do have, because there's that kind of, I feel like we're getting in this really interesting dance between like free will and then like the will of God, and it's kind of like, well, which one do you really go by? Do I go by my free will? Like, I've got this will power to make choices, to make things happen. I can move my body through space and time, and then I can create outcomes that I may define beforehand. And that's me willing my way through the universe. And then there's this whole other intent of the world and of the universe. And you could call it God's will, or you could call it the will of this larger intelligence or source or creator, prime creator, whatever it is. And I mean, to me, like there's like the dance between the two of those is this interesting paradox where it's almost like, to me, they're the surrender to the larger cosmic and universal willpower is so elating and ecstatic. Because when you realize that your I amness is not just personal, it is that, then you realize how much greater your capacity is. And how you don't have to will it on this personal level. You can actually let go. You can surrender. You can go to sleep, and you can relax, and you can wake up and you can relax, because it's always kind of this undercurrent that's available to us as this I amness. And then at the same time, with the free will, we like, it's almost like there's the choice to then surrender to that or not. So I wonder what choice we're making, right? Because I find that the times where when I recognize my choice and I recognize my sovereignty, I realize my free will. I realize that I have choice. If I were to not realize that, I would be in this self-made prison.
Yes.
But the catch, I guess, is that, and when this is just what my perception of it is at this point, is just that with that choice, I may perceive some level of control that I don't have, or maybe I don't even want. If I were to recognize that there's this other will of the universe, that in the moment that I'm attempting to control anything with my free will, I could just choose to surrender to something larger that wants to move through me. And yeah, I don't know where this is leading, but I just feel it's so empowering to find that, because it feels so good to relax into our experience. And so even if I'm expressing some codependent pattern, whatever, I'm surrendered to whatever pattern is presenting itself and running out and playing through me, which is also another kind of layer of how this universe is playing out as well. It's like that pattern didn't necessarily come from me. It came from my parents, and it came from their parents, and then all the way down the ancestral line. And it so happens that my soul probably wanted to come in and resolve certain elements of my soul history and past experiences, perhaps past lives, that makes a lot of sense why I would choose that.
Yes.
But it's not always so fun, I think, until you realize maybe this whole game that's at play.
Yeah, it's
Because
not fun
otherwise
at all.
it can be very serious, and it feels like
Yes.
not a game. It feels
Yeah.
like
And this
life
is
or
why
death.
people kill themselves. I believe that. I believe that a person out there who kills themselves believes they have no choice other than that one. And they authentically believe that this is the best thing for them.
Yeah.
So the question I always ask myself, am I doing my best? Yes. Can I do better? Yes. I
Yeah.
can do
That's
better.
feels very
And
honest, very real,
yeah, and to do better
realistic.
is to say, am I willing or am I as conscious of what all's at play here, and how curious am I to get conscious? Because to get conscious for me represents the willingness to become vulnerable and say, hey, I recognize a codependent pattern arising in me right now, and this is where I would like to cast you in the role of helping me get rid of this feeling, which will only perpetuate our codependency. Would you like to do that? No, they might say, or sure, or what do you mean? And then I'll go, okay, I'm recognizing right now. I want to offer people this, and I'm going to offer you this. I want to offer this to you both playfully and cautiously. There is the easiest cue to codependency for yourself. Now, the temptation is going to be to use this on other people. Done it, it works. But for me, the most all tools, when I use them here first, they really serve me fundamentally. When you hear someone say, or you say, I feel like, that's coming from codependency. And it's never typically followed up with, I feel like I'm sad. You don't hear people, I feel like you always hear, I feel like you don't really, I feel like I feel like this. That's codependency. Plain and simple. So for me, one of the conscious things that I can do, but again, it requires consciousness and vulnerability, is to say, I'm feeling fear. I'm feeling scared. I'm feeling distrustful. I'm feeling like I want to run away. I'm feeling like I want to attack you. I'm feeling like you don't understand me. I'm feeling like I'm losing this relationship because of what you're saying. And here's what I'm hearing. Here's the thought that I'm thinking. Here's the feeling that I'm feeling. And then if you're willing to go really vulnerable, and here's what I want. Here's what I want to think. Here's what I want to feel. Here's what I want with you. That to me requires love. To even go there, your heart has to be open. So my practice daily is, okay, heart, I don't have to open you. I don't have to love anyone. I'm so loved and lovable and loving. I don't have to love anyone. I don't have to give two shits about love. I could be the world's greatest asshole today. I could be ruthless today. And some days, to be honest with you, I choose that path. Some days I'm like, fuck love. I'm going, if somebody talks to me or calls me today, I'm gonna first, I do this. I'll tell them I'm in a mood. And I wouldn't consider this mood loving. So if you want to keep talking to me, you're going to have this mood talking back. Are you okay with that? And when I create a context like that, it's amazing what will happen. And I might end up crying and having this big aha and asking them to forgive me for something that I had no intention of. But because I was willing to create a context and honor what is true for me, to me, what I'm saying is, I'm open to anything happening. And I'm also not going to deny what I'm present to and what I'm doing with what I'm present to. For the last 2 years, I've let myself be really angry, Keenan, like pissed. And I've let the critic and the perfectionist in me come up and speak. Like if you see my Google reviews, you're gonna be like, dude, this guy's harsh. I was in a restaurant today and I took a picture of their fart fan on the top. It was filthy. And I'm like, this tells me a lot about the cleanliness of your restaurant. You want me to eat here? Clean your fart fan. And that feels good. It feels good to honor that part of me on objects. It doesn't feel good to honor that part of me on people.
Yeah. So in terms of working out some of those emotions, because we all have layers of emotions, and a lot of them have been repressed and from time before. And yeah, it's a nice reminder of what you're saying around my own permission. First of all, around vulnerability. And I'm also seeing a little bit more that, because vulnerability sometimes feels like, to me, the term, the frequency of that word is like, I'm going to enter into some kind of level of weakness, but it's really just honesty.
It is weakness, though, Keenan. It is. I want to validate that use of that word. It is. It's conscious weakness. You're showing your belly.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I guess what I'm feeling into is that there's such a strength in that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just truth. It's just honesty. Yeah, there's a weakness, but there's also a strength in the weakness. And a weak moment isn't just weak.
No, but it's like getting pregnant. Can you imagine being a woman who wants to get pregnant in camp? How vulnerable is that? Every time she makes love, she's hoping. To me, the strength is not an automatic effect of acknowledging your weakness. You're potentiating the recognition of something within you that is dormant, and it will not show itself to you until you show it your helpless, powerless weakness in full honesty. That's the way we designed this matrix.
Yeah.
And it's when I turn my belly over and go, I am so scared. Right there, that thing stirs and goes, I'm about to tell you the truth. I'm about to let you feel what you really are.
Right.
And at the heart of this, for me, the heart of codependency is it's an initiation into your divinity being incarnated. I mean, every single master enlightened being has gone through the initiation of codependency and self-sabotage. My favorite is Jesus. Completely codependent. What's more self-sabotage than getting crucified? And then going, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. And to do it consciously, to step into pure codependency consciously. God, I have been completely spirit, whatever you call great spirit is my favorite thing right now. Whatever you call that, I'm willing to show the human experience fully to myself and to those who I love and who love me. I'm willing to be embarrassed for love.
Yeah. And in that process, there's not anything to be afraid of anymore.
Yeah, I
In
think
a
when you get
certain
pooped out the other
respect.
side, yeah, I think as you get
Yeah.
pooped out the other side, you go, God, I was scared. This is what I thought was going to happen. Didn't happen. It was amazing. I'll never be afraid of that again. Now, what's the next thing?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the part about the weakness that because it just feels like that's the only piece that, I mean, it's not to like, I really don't believe I'm turning away from wanting to be weak, you know, in this moment of describing vulnerability, but it's something I feel into as a thing that's not commonplace for people. You know, we're not necessarily just, you know, showing our bellies, walking around to everyone, you know. And to me, it's, I mean, you know, I guess my own judgment on it, but it's kind of a problem because we're not really, it's like that's what makes it kind of matrixy. It's, you know, the I feel like the experience we're longing for is our own authenticity. And I guess I feel like I feel it's important to bring like a highlight into the other side of that word, that its weakness and its strength, because it really is. And on the, it's so weird though. I mean, it's right. I guess it's just part of the design. I mean, we have these fears about being seen for what we are, for feeling what we are, for thinking what we are, for, you know, whatever it is. And then it happens, and there's like this kind of like, it's almost like you killed an animal, or you know, you did something where it's like, oh, I can relax, or like you maybe
Mm-hmm.
you dodge some kind of death,
Mm-hmm.
because there's more aliveness. There's like a deeper aliveness that happens in that moment, and in that place that there's more access to love. The fear is not as present. And yeah, I think the codependent patterns seem to really occur from that place, that it's in the space of fear.
Yeah.
It's in the space of resisting that. If
Yes.
I'm vulnerable, then I'll be weak.
Yes. Yes. And if I'm weak, I'll get rejected, and then I'll never get love. That's the
And
pattern we run. That serves our unconsciousness. Yeah,
yeah,
is that
and
belief.
insert any other story in there of,
Yeah.
if I'm weak, then, you know, I won't be seen, I won't be heard, I'll be rejected, I'll, you know, whatever it is, I'll be abandoned, I'll be betrayed,
Mm-hmm.
there's all the different subconscious pieces. And at this, in this weird moment where we move into a place where we're just authentic, and then we witness the thing happening. Like, just for example, one of the things that's been going on in my life has been this kind of conflict with time,
Mm-hmm.
like chronological time. And I've been
Mm-hmm.
really craving the timeless. And I've really been giving myself a
Mm-hmm.
lot more of that. And sometimes with these meetings and things that are, you know, require punctuality, um, you know, I'm actually enjoying a little bit more flex there, even though I'm also enjoying being there on time.
Mm-hmm.
So, but there's been almost this fear, like noticing myself running this, like kind of rushing energy. Like I better not be late, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, what is that? Interesting. Like, what
Yeah.
is that thing? And then to kind of play with it, like, for example, this would be one thing that, um, I guess I could suggest, but I would also share in terms of what I've been playing with, is just being late on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all right, the thing that I fear is being late.
Mm-hmm.
Like, whatever that is, whether it's that I'll be rejected, I'll be seen as lazy, I'll be seen as some maybe aspect of a man that I don't want to be. So I'm resisting something that, because I'm all of it. I'm truthfully all of it. I have all human traits.
Yes.
So anytime I'm trying to avoid anything, I'm kind of lying to myself. I mean, I'm late sometimes. I am late. I'm also punctual. But if the thing that I fear is being late, what if I just go into that? What if I consciously be late and experience the great monster of what happens when I'm late? And
Yeah.
maybe some guy yells at me. Maybe somebody points a finger at me and says, "You're late, man.
Mm-hmm.
You're a piece
Mm-hmm.
of shit." Whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then I get to experience, hey, that wasn't so bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of breaks down the fear. And so that's been kind of fun. Is just, wow, I'm late and nothing happened.
Mm.
How cool. And now the energy is diffused, it's dispersed, and I'm not necessarily running around with that rushing quality. I'm like, oh, if I'm late, that's actually going to be okay. So
Yeah.
I can be late, but then in my release of resisting not being late and allowing myself to be late, I can be on time.
It's brilliant. Can I ask you some questions about this? Can we play a
Yeah.
little bit?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the core feeling that you notice around time that you don't like? And feeling, I mean angry, fear, sad, or any of those categories.
It's closer to anger,
Yeah.
frustration.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so time and anger. Yeah. So if you let yourself really feel that anger towards time, what would you say to time from that space? And if anger, let me give you this context. What I teach kids, the kids in my life, is that anger is a dragon inside of you. And that dragon knows what serves you and knows what doesn't serve you. And when you turn your anger, that dragon, towards things that don't serve you and you let it blow its fire, it will end those things for you. Ideas and concepts. So if your anger towards time is a dragon, what would that dragon say, Keenan, to time? Without filter, if you're willing.
Yeah, I'm just going to take a moment to feel this one.
Yeah, please do.
You ruin the fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you ruined. That's great. That's so good. You ruined the fun. What now? Now, if you're willing, again, if this feels good,
Yeah, let's do
get
it.
specific. What specific fun things do you believe time is ruined for you? And be as specific as you can.
So this is more of a past context,
Yeah,
like that
up
I
until
believe
now.
time has ruined.
And we're going to say up
Okay.
until now. We're not saying it's ruining it now, but we're saying
Sure.
up until now, you have held a belief that time has ruined these specific fun things, fun moments, fun relationships, whatever.
So what specifically in my past experience was it regarding? What was ruined in terms of the fun? I think it was so what I'm feeling is the relation, um, the connection, like the harmony and connections with people.
And then
About
think of a
how
specific person. You don't have to say them
time,
out loud. Yeah.
yeah, I got somebody.
Okay. So get them in mind and then look at and then imagine them at a certain distance from you that feels good to have them at from you now. So imagine they're in front of you, but they're at a distance. So they could be really small, like they're far away, or they could be, right in front of you. So set them at a certain distance. And once you have that, let me know.
All right.
Got it? And then see time between you and them. Whatever that looks like for you. Could be something they said, it could be something that happened in time and space.
Okay.
Got it? Now I want you to be
Yeah.
like Khaleesi from Game of Thrones. I want you to unleash your dragon on the space between you and them and let that dragon unleash his motherfucking fire completely on everything between you and them. Visualize it. Burn it to the fucking ground. And then tell me what happens in you. Because I can feel it already.
That feels really good.
Yeah, I know. I
Wow.
can feel it in you.
Yeah, big release, like right off my
Mm-hmm.
chest. Breathe easy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So the imagination to me is the hostage of
Mm.
codependency.
Mm. Mm. Oh, yeah, yeah, nice. Wow. Yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because fear keeps us in a place, even neurophysiologically, that we cannot access creativity in our imagination.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
And we're
Yeah.
repeating. We're the imagination is now a slave of repeating patterns.
Right. So, and then the repeat and the patterning and the repatterning and the vicious cycle of patterns occurs because of an inaccess to our creativity / imagination.
Yes, because we're using
Yeah.
it to recreate the same thing,
Right.
even
It's
with
not,
different content over and over and over.
the irony is that the hostage keeper is the imagination.
Yes.
But you forget. It's like you've forgotten.
You put God in a cage and then you told God, see me in prison. God says, okay. Because love is a slave to God. You are so loved. We are so loved that we could say to love, here's what I'm seeing. And love goes, done. I want to be a slave for 12 years in Louisiana during the time of slavery. Okay, done. Have fun.
Mhm.
And I want them to make a movie about it at some point in the 20th century called 12 Years a Slave. And I want everyone to see the depth and height and width of love. Okay.
Mm.
So for me, codependency, self-sabotage are the key to my divinity.
Mm.
The more I'm willing to be conscious of where I'm denying what I'm feeling, where I'm denying what I'm thinking, where I'm denying what I want, where I'm making it about what they're doing or where I'm making it about what's happening, about behavior and words. When I catch myself in that, I go, God, oh, oh, I am so good at getting caught up. I took the bait again. They got me. They got me good. High five. Like, you got me. You triggered me. I attacked. I'm sorry. Oh, forgive me. I forgive myself. Oh, so good. Thank you for helping me continue to realize I don't need to do this anymore. Hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? Does that make sense?
This is a dog for the listeners.
Yeah,
Saying
that's
hi.
Akka. She was just literally, when I was talking to you, she was literally over here asleep in a dream, twitching,
Oh yeah.
shaking. And I put my foot on her to wake her up.
Yeah. Why?
Because
Just
I
because.
can tell that her body's showing me she's not dreaming something she's enjoying.
Yeah.
So wake her up gently, smile at her. Hi, honey.
Mm.
Papa's here. I call myself Papa. Papa's here. I love you. You're okay. And love does
Hi.
the same thing for me. When I'm honest with myself, love can then wake me up and go, you're all right. I got you. It was a dream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So I guess I'm thinking about how you define codependency then, because it it just it's such a opener for me, into a new way of thinking about it, and I'm wanting more. I'm wanting like more out of this. What is this quality and codependency that you love so much, or that you've connected to, that you feel like you're able to lean into?
It's the gift of God to my curiosity that said, what would it be like to forget what I am? What would it be like to wander in worlds and endless worlds in which I can explore the many aspects of myself? Well, God goes, well, I've heard of this thing called codependency. Hey, anybody know about it? And Lucifer's like, I got this. Um, uh, and I truly believe, like, the Lucifer within me created this matrix of separation, which allowed me to to create an attachment to form. Form, in and of itself, for me the desire to see what it's like to forget myself, what I truly am.
Mhm.
But form doesn't remain that. It's not like when you transcend, form doesn't matter to you anymore. Form matters to you now because now it's the reflection of your own divinity. Where at first it was a reflection of your prison of dependency and attachment. As you honor it, as you get honest, as you open up, as you go vulnerable, as you allow it to dissolve, the way of mastery defines love as that which embraces all things in all ways and at all times. And Jesus, who is the author of that, says, you're only struggling with the things in your life you have yet to embrace. So when I'm
Yes.
struggling with
Nice.
something, I look at it and go, I refuse to love this. I refuse to forgive it. Here's my judgment of it. And I get honest with myself. Like, here's my judgment of it. I want it to die. I want it to be punished. I want it to feel what I have felt. Because I believe that will somehow teach it a lesson and it'll never hurt me again. When love's response is, oh, I feel hurt and I believe you've hurt me and I'm sorry. I realized I hurt myself and then I blamed you. Or I realized you said something and I felt hurt by it and I didn't say that to you. I withheld that from you. I'm sorry. I'd like to start again with you, and I'd like to let you know that if in this relationship you feel hurt by what I say, or I feel hurt by what you say, that we're willing to acknowledge that. At least I will. I hope you will. I'll ask you to, but I commit to letting you know when you speak to me and I feel hurt, I'm going to say so, because to me the root of codependency is hurt. And the root of hurt is a sense of separation. And the root of separation was a conscious meta choice to see what it would be like to forget love. How far will love let me go away from it? How far will love let me deny its presence? And I have gone as far, I believe this, I have gone as far as you can go. And once you get there, you automatically go, had enough, I'm turning around. Hey, love, I'm returning. Love, you get to spend this incredible, have this experience in time of space of returning to love. Miracles, synchronicities, incredible relationships, enlightenments, awakenings, all the great buzzwords out there. 5D, 60, 70, all of it. Yeah, the angels, the masters, the elementals, God alone, that I am, whatever, Elohim, all of it. You get all of it comes back to you, little by little, bit by bit, and each of it comes to you and goes, Mwah, I love you. Thank you for taking your journey. Thank you for going as far as you could go. You're so brave. I want to hear all the things that you have learned about yourself, about the nature of your very source. Teach us, Master.
Mhm. I love that. Yeah, because it points to the point of forgetting and going into the codependency to learn. At least that's the way I'm seeing it right now.
Yeah.
And how I
And
tend
to
to see it,
learn is to
I mean,
earn.
what else would duality be for?
Exactly. Except for experience.
Yeah. Which learning / experience, same.
And desire is
Yeah.
the engine of experience. Like without desire, like people will tell you desires are bad. It's stupid. That's just dumb to me.
Absolutely.
You
It's
know,
the
even
thing that
enlightened
drives
beings.
revolution.
Yeah, it's like the enlightened master goes, desire is futile. Well, why are you here? Why are you talking? Why are you making your appearance, oh great enlightened one?
Mm.
Is it just some accident? I don't know. You're full of shit.
Denial of desire.
You have desired, just like me, to be here, to have this experience. It's because of desire that you exist and know that you exist. Whoa. Now, it's like, I get it where people are like, a desire for a woman who's 36, 34, 32, she's 5, all that I get. I get like, but that's just, in one sense, that's just as legit, because how are you ever going to remember how powerful you are until you actually manifest the perfect mate and then realize it's still shit. It satisfies to an extent, but not completely. But you can look at that thing you manifest and be like, thank you so much. You're a step towards my remembrance of my divinity. Thank you for how you've served me. Like my journey through Christianity, God, it served me so well in realizing like what I truly desire. It helped me purify and get down to the core desire. I want Jesus. I want God. I want the Spirit. Got down to, I want to feel loved. I want to feel, what does that look like? I want to feel accepted. I want someone to look at me. I want to look at myself and go like, oh, it's not words, just be like, you ever look in the mirror and you're just like, you.
Yeah,
What's better than
that's
this, Keenan?
I desire
What
that. Yeah.
what's a better
Right?
message than
Totally.
smiling at somebody like, hey, like what's more
Yeah.
profound than that?
Yeah. I mean, not much. I mean, depending on your perspective.
Right? The picture
Yeah.
of God is just God like, he's just, here's the greatest thing I've ever shown you.
Yeah, I think that's why the Mona Lisa captures us, huh?
Yes. Yes.
It's just a smile.
Just a smile. A perfect smile.
Yeah, I was trying to remember what I thought I had. You got me thinking about the desire, and this ties into, I bring this up all the time, existential kink.
Mm-hmm.
The desire for separation, for codependency,
Mm-hmm.
for fear,
Mm-hmm.
for forgetting, for
Mm-hmm.
duality, for non-unity, non-5D, non-angels, whatever, into the darkness. And I don't know, I mean, I kind of see it as just this thrill ride we're taking to get to experience who we are again, or all the beautiful facets or faces of love, and recognizing that I was there the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
But that experience, like if you are love, if you are God at some point, you are oneness, don't you desire to experience what would it be like to forget all of that? It seems like that's a large part of why we're here, is that we wanted to experience that. And that's, if I love existential kink as a concept, because it brings us into that dimension of our existence that says, everything is what I want ultimately. So if you're in a place where you think you don't want that, it's like, really? Are you really being honest with yourself about that? Because
Mm.
it seems like you did. Otherwise,
Yeah.
it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
And if we can lean into that a little bit, like with the times that I do, it's like, oh, I wanted that. Yeah, I did. And just kind of have it, get to have it. It feels good to have some of these experiences where you just maybe it's not picturesque or ideal in terms of some social concept, but it was something that was designed in our experience that we probably designed at some point and
Yeah.
get to have, or or we can just be, I mean, even if we are caught in the illusion that okay, I can't enjoy that, I can't experience the pleasure of that, so be it too. I mean, you also get to have that.
Yes.
You get to
And
have the
at
pain of
will.
it too.
Yeah. The to me, the difference between the enlightened being and the so-called non-enlightened being is the recognition that I can will myself into any state I so choose. I can will myself into the totally indifferent, enlightened, blissful state at will. So what? That's that I can do that. I do that in the mornings. I go into these states and it's like, oh, I will literally like be I feel so good. I'm so alive. I am so one with everything. And then I will consciously go, and I'm still curious about this crazy chaos over here. And I'm not abandoning one for the other. I'm going to do everything I can to bring an aspect of this into that.
Yeah, nice.
So the question that God asks herself every day in each and every moment is, what do I desire now? And it might be a cheeseburger. It might be to call a friend. It might be to jump on an airplane and go see someone in hospice. And to me, the bliss of God is her desire, is her command that her desire be fulfilled in a way that surprises even himself. Because if God is our consciousness as masculine and God is our subconscious as feminine, the conscious is the seed by which the subconscious receives our desire and then brings it about. When you recognize those two are one and the same, and you recognize that you have choice to imagine whatever so your heart desires, your masculine and feminine are now merged, and your feminine's going, bring it, big boy. And you're so delighted to bring it to her because she exists to fulfill your imagination's desire. But the work, the forgiveness that is required for us to get to that place authentically is astounding. And anyone who tells you it's easy is full of shit. Forgiveness is work because it's contradictory to our 1D, 2D, 3D self. And even half of our 4D self is like, really? Do you know what do you know? I can show you the facts of what this person did. And at like, I tell people at like 4.6D is where you go, and that hurts me. To judge another person, even if I have all the reason, literally hurts me. When you realize that, then you start going, okay, there's something to this. And I remember daily, several years ago, being like consciously hating people, hating and having all the reasons to wish them dead and for places to burn to the ground and for the FBI to show up with guns, and to consciously go, beloved object, I forgive you. I forgive you for what I've made of you. I choose to, and I'm doing this by pure faith, like I'm not having any feelings about it. I choose to forgive you. I choose by faith to release you and release myself. And I would do it over and over again until one day there would come a recognition of the root of the unforgiveness, which would be where I'm saying yes, where to someone where I don't mean it. Delusion. All by myself, I think I am all by myself. Keenan White left. There he's back. There he is. The faces that it freezes with, your face are the best.
Oh yeah.
You're like,
nice. This internet's given out in part of the house for whatever reason. You're right in the thick of it. I can't recall where you might have
all I'm
left
saying
off,
is here's four things I give people. To forgive is to forget. To forget is to remember, and to remember is to recognize. Did I lose you again? Or you're okay. So sometimes you freeze. So to forgive means to forget. So what does that mean? It means when I choose to consciously, when I feel disturbed, okay, I only feel disturbed because a judgment has come home. A judgment that I have said yes to in the past has come back. When I think I'm disturbed and I rationalize why I'm disturbed, I'm just going to recreate it and carry on the pattern. That's a fact, friends. In Jon's world, that's a fact. When I go, oh, I'm disturbed, I'm pissed, I'm angry, I'm sad, I'm afraid. Oh, a judgment has come home. Hello, judgment. What's the judgment? And I'll let the judgment be there. And it might be like an array of judgments. And I let them be there and I acknowledge them. And if I have a conscious friend around me who can handle it, I'll ask them, hey, I'd like to share this out loud with you. Are you available to witness, to hold this space while I do so? If they aren't, I take a walk. Or if I start to and then they get triggered, I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm going to take a break. I need to go work this out on my own. So I go outside and I unleash. I say all the things, I feel all the things. I let the dragon up. I call the dragon is anger. I call the giant fear. And I call the caterpillar, and sadness to me is a caterpillar waiting to become a butterfly. So I let it all out. And when I let it all out and I say all the things, and then I ask my spirit, show me the root of this. Show me where I misperceived. Show me where I judged. I'll see it. Sometimes not immediately. It might be a day or so, but all of a sudden I'll see it and there'll be a release. I'll cry. I'll laugh. There'll be a release. I will then forget that ever happened.
Yeah, I feel you on that one. Yeah. Because it's
and
just
if
no
I
longer
don't
there.
forget,
It's a weird feeling.
If I don't forget it, it hasn't been forgiven.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. Yeah.
Once
when
I
it's
forget,
no longer there, it's just
you're not bothered. It can't get to you anymore.
It's not there. It's just not there.
There's people who can say shit to me now, and years ago I would have been like, now I'm like, oh, that's hilarious because it's been forgotten. When I forget, what do I remember? I remember love. I remember choice. I remember I can, I have, I am, I love, I enjoy, I create. I remember my sovereignty. Now that I remember that, I recognize the desire of my heart. And here's what I'd like to create now. Here's what I'd like to manifest. And now I set my dominion of my mind to serve only my imagination. And my imagination is set on good things. There's a scripture in the Bible that I've always loved. It says, eye is not seen, ear is not heard, nor has it entered into the heart of man, the things that God has prepared for those who love her. My imagination knows the things that God has prepared for me. When I show God, spirit, whatever you want to call it, that my imagination now serves my heart, my imagination shows me the will of God, that I prosper and be in health, that I love and serve gracefully and honestly and gently. And I can't help but live that way. So I spend hours sitting in my bed like a little kid, letting my heart show me, oh, I see I have so many friends, and oh, we have houses all over the world, and we travel to each other's houses, and we go on adventures together, and I see us here, and I see us there, and I see us doing this, and I see us doing that. And I let my imagination and my heart sing their song. Now, the work, Keenan, is to not fuck that up when I'm done with that, by going into my head, by trying to figure out how, by thinking that I need to share that with everyone around me, that they need to know those desires for them to be fulfilled. No, I go quiet, I be still, and I trust. God knows my heart. God knows the desire of my heart. I trust God to fulfill it in her timing. In
So
me.
forgive.
And yeah. Does this make
So for
sense?
it does, yeah. I'm tracing it back to your steps there. Forgive to forget, which opens you up. So it's forgive to forget. That's 2. There's 4.
Forget to remember.
Forget to
When
remember.
I forget, I remember. When I remember, I recognize.
Yeah. Okay.
And when I recognize, I'm now aware that I am a conscious creator. I am that I am.
The power of forgiveness.
Yeah. It's everything to me. It's the key to everything. It's forgiveness.
Yeah, it's so funny because I was reading just I haven't really been reading much lately, but I pulled open Don Miguel Ruiz, Self-Mastery, Mastery of Self. And it's just in that section where it talks about forgiveness. And yeah, it's a gateway into the rest of the teachings about self-mastery, but I'm really feeling a resounding truth around the power of forgiveness, and also seeing its role in sovereignty and completing this game of codependency.
Yeah.
So
go ahead, everyone. Go ahead. It's like saying to everybody, go ahead, say all the things you want to say about me. Let's see if I trigger. And if I do, I'm going to thank you.
Yeah.
Because you're only going to show me where I have yet to forgive. And I'm committed to forgiving. And I may not want to forgive. I may resist it, but you will cue me into where I have yet to forgive. Thank you, beloved friend.
Yeah. It seems to me here too that forgiving is another word for healing, or it's another word of just love in its expression.
Yeah, it's that capacity to release yourself from what you've done to yourself. Because we know what we've done to ourselves. We know it. I know where I've lied. I know where I've cheated. I know where I've stolen. I know where I've, said it in a way that hoped it would make it all work. I know where I have lied. And I will feel guilty about that until I clean that up within me and go, yeah, I lied. And why did I lie? Because I was afraid. And I'm going to stop denying that. I don't have to go tell everyone my lies. I can just say, you know what? There was a lot going on. And here's fundamental truth. I was scared. And I was rationalizing all kinds of stuff to try and avoid telling you that I was scared. And I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. And so there's this whole other world on the other side of this. And it feels worthwhile, because I feel like one of the points that is standing out to me too for those that are still listening, is that this is not always a walk in the park, and that's why it's so nice to have support. So nice to have somebody walking you through this process. So 2 things. One, what's on the other side of this codependency and self-sabotage? And of course, I think we've touched on that quite a bit, but maybe you would connect it to why somebody might want to work with you, for example. And that's the second thing. Yeah. Just bringing you in also as well, because you're doing your thing out there. I appreciate your art, and it's not to get to necessarily get people to sign up, right? But maybe a
Yeah.
conversation to start things. I'm always curious just about, yeah, a coach's take on this as well. You know, it's a funny profession to be in.
Yeah.
And sometimes I wonder, you know, why am I doing the thing that I'm doing? Anybody could be doing this, but there's an art to it, and there's a certain um, there's a certain process that can really catalyze and accelerate this forgiveness path, this healing path that we're all on. So why do it? Why even, what's on the other side? Why are we doing
Yeah.
this?
I'd say the byproduct of codependency and self-sabotage is joy and enthusiasm. Think about how enthusiastically codependent we can be. Like when we're in love with someone and we totally attach, we're like, or something, you know, like the enthusiasm is staggering sometimes when you see somebody love struck. And then you can also see the joy of their self-sabotage, like how brilliantly they'll deny themselves that it's just about that person and how great that person is and how beautiful they are and how it's the sex and all the things, you know. So what's fascinating is those states. It's not like something's changing, but what we're doing is becoming conscious of how our states are shifting based on our relationship with the world around us. So when I go, oh, I would like to live in more enthusiasm and joy, that means I'm going to then become conscious of where I have attachments and I'm displacing my joy and enthusiasm onto the circumstance of that relationship. I would like to take that back. Therefore, I'm going to clean up that relationship first in myself and then with them. And my joy and enthusiasm now return to a very natural state in which I'm creating from joy and enthusiasm and extending from myself creation to bless creation, not to create attachments, not to reinforce how much people need me. You don't need me. You don't need a coach. Now, the question is what do you want from life? And like you said, Keenan, was so good. What sort of support do you have for that? When you have someone whom you have chosen to allow you to really be seen, be heard, be felt, and be understood, what would you imagine that would be like? What would you imagine would be the fruit of letting yourself be seen, be heard, and be felt and be understood? So for me, the people that find coaching useful are people who are going, I want to know myself. And I know that that's going to require me letting someone else see me in ways I have yet to let myself see myself. I'm going to let someone else birth in me a version, a vision, a perception of myself that I have not yet let in. And I'm going to step into the vulnerable practice of sharing with them where I feel worthless, where I feel hopeless, where I feel helpless, where I feel like shit is fucked. And I'm going to let them hear that. And I'm going to let them walk me through a process of forgiving myself. And it's that simple for me. So if that's you, call me. Just call me. I'll put can I give my phone number out on this?
Yeah. We can put it in the show
720
notes. You can say it now.
329 0677. Just call me. If you get my voicemail, just leave a message saying, John, I want to talk. We'll talk. That's it. Like, just like you and I are having a conversation. The thing that I love doing, oh, the dog. Hey, quit. Hey, quit it. Okay, hold on. My dog. Quit. You are so codependent. All right. I love telling her that. Look at it. Look at this. She just kisses me. You are such a self-sabotager. Okay, stop. Go lay down. Go lay down. Just like you and I, Keenan, you know, like when we talk, we have wonderful conversations. I realize when I talk to you, subtle things about myself. I know that when I talk to Keenan, I'm going to feel better about myself at the end of that conversation. Because I know you and I share the same values, and you're going to help remind me of what's really important to me. And that's, to me, all a coach really does, is they help you get down to what's really important to you and what you're doing with that knowledge, that understanding.
Based on what you desire, really. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I mean, I feel the same way about you as well. It's always, I think I was creating the metaphor last time. It's like going to have ice cream when we have conversation.
Right.
Just so sweet.
I'll take a scoop of Keenan, please. Some peanuts.
So many flavors and
So many flavors.
options here.
Yeah.
Oh man.
What flavor ice cream would you be if you were, if a Keenan was a flavor of ice cream, what would it be? I'm curious now.
Oh man. It's a tough one. I mean, probably something that's just got everything in it, a little taste of some fruit,
like a rainbow,
a little shortbread, cookie dough, chocolate chips.
Wow.
Not too much fudge.
Yeah.
More on the caramel, like a little edgy,
Salted caramel?
Like it's chocolatey, but we're gonna get some strawberries in there too. Sprinkles, I don't know about that. I'm not such a fan. Let's bring in maybe some bananas.
Yeah. I like it. I like it a lot. I'll take a scoop for sure. It may be the only scoop I ever have, but I would have a scoop of Keenan for sure, just to see.
And you, I mean, now we got to ask you.
Mine would be, definitely would have magic mushrooms in it, honeycomb, and ginger. That would be my flavor of ice cream. It'd be,
I would take a scoop of that for sure.
Children of Light cone for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's funny choosing the coaching that I have and realizing how it's so funny to pay for it, because it's like, why do I don't have to pay for that. I don't need to pay. Why would I ever pay that much for a coach?
Yep.
But every time I have, or every time I've invested some amount of resource or energy or time into having one, which usually it requires, I've always just been blown away at how valuable it is.
Yes.
It's such an intrinsic value that I just feel like expressing, that I'm appreciating from the coaching I'm receiving now. And kind of not even, I wasn't necessarily seeking it out, but I chose it. And I realized that I desired it more fully to kind of bring myself through more of this process, and realizing that as soon as I think that it's over, it's probably when it's not. There's always layers, and there's always ways of working through some of these things, playing through the process, if you want to call it that, because it's not always that, it's not always that much like work, even though it is also. So whether that makes sense or not,
yeah,
I love it. I mean, it feels at the end of the day that somebody is deeply listening and caring, and supporting me through my process. And it's got a quality to it that feels, I mean, I'm very grateful for it. I don't know where I'd be without it. So
it's brilliant. And you're paying them well. And when you do that, I mean, what you're doing energetically is so powerful. To pay someone well to listen to you and to be honest with you. It's incredible. And it's paradoxically confrontive of everything we've ever been taught about what support is. Because most people just call their mom or their best friend, and they socially coach each other. And it totally belittles, and in one sense, to me, misqualifies the energy of transformation.
Yeah, it's a good point.
That's available.
It's a very fair point. Yeah. And I think that's why it's a confusing industry or profession or field because of that, because anyone can do it, quote unquote, but the quality of that doing it is few and far between what is actually worthwhile, valuable.
Yes, because of
transformational.
Yes, a enlightened coach, or a being that can actually coach you, in that first conversation with them, you will know. You will know. And they could tell you it's $1 million and you'll be like, okay, where do I send the wire? Or who do I have to call to get $1 million? You will know. And the people who work with me, they know it. I could tell them whatever I want, whatever's true for me in the moment. When they know it, they know it. And getting there as a coach, getting to that kind of clarity in yourself is the point of becoming a coach. To choose to become a coach is to deal with self-sabotage and codependency completely and bring it to closure in your life. Because you'll only stay in the coaching industry if you're truly committed. And I'm not saying you have to be a coach. You can do this in any field, but I know for me in the coaching field that the choice to be a coach and to step out and to offer that to people has been a choice to directly confront my own sense of codependency and self-sabotage. And it is good medicine.
Yeah, it's good. It's good medicine. Thank you, John.
It is. You're welcome, Keenan.
Appreciate your time today. I believe it was well worth the listen for whoever's out there, and I look forward to always more of these conversations.
Yeah, I hope you come see me in San Diego soon. Thank you, Keenan.
I would absolutely love to.